Okay, 6.1, number 1, solving quadratic equations by factoring. This part of the textbook, section 6.1, starts out with a whole bunch of stuff, and I will explain that stuff in this video. Okay, first of all, you have a quadratic equation that looks something like that, and we put that on a graph, and it looks like this. And we know that when x equals 0, we know that that's what y equals. And when y equals 0, we know that x will equal this or this. And we know with quadratics that this U-shaped thingy might actually stop up here, in which case it never hits the x-axis, or it might just touch the x-axis of the vertex, in which case only one there's only one x when y equals 0. But in this case there are two x's when y equals 0. You're used to the quadratic function f of x. Let's call this the quad function. F of x equals, let's just say for instance, 3x squared plus 2x minus 7. That might be the equation for this type of a graph. This is a quadratic function. It just means that if I plug an x in here, I can calculate what the y is going to be. And whenever you did word problems before, it was a matter of trying to derive this function so that you could plug in your x and come out with a y. Now, the quadratic equation, we're taking the same thing here, and we're just setting it equal to 0. In other words, this is the quad equation. When we take the quadratic function and set y equal to 0, i.e. y equals 0, so what will x be when y equals 0? That's all we're asking. That's what the quadratic equation asks. So y equals 0, shown here, and we ask the question, what will x be when y equals 0? Well, it'll be this or this. That'll be your two x-intercepts. In other words, draw an arrow over here and over here. I'm going to color code these. That's the pink. That's the blue. And these are called the roots of the equation, also known as the zeros for obvious reasons, because those are the values of x when y equals 0. That's why we call it the zeros, and we call it the roots. And to figure it out what the roots are, we only have to take the function equal to 0, solve for x. And the rest of this chapter is all about figuring out how to solve for x.